summarize for everybody. I think that as everybody's indicated, they've had a chance to review these materials. But there's really three requests that the student group has for this that we should consider. These are obviously important, and they deserve our thoughtful and diligent response. Okay. So the first is to create a committee which would consist of representatives from staff, faculty, students that would publish quarterly reports of our investments and investment policy to create transparency with the goal of essentially educating the university community about the workings of the investment. The second would be to create a policy that ensures our endowment is invested in a socially just manner with regards to human rights and environmental matters. And then the third request that they had of this committee and of the foundation would be to declare divestment from corporations that are directly implicit in human rights violations against the Palestinian people. So we should consider each of those. And as I said, it's important to recognize that these are issues that not only are important and that we should have a dialogue about, but that the university community in general is an open forum where we should have discussion and dialogue. Clearly. We have, as a foundation and an investment committee, we have a mission and we have policies and we have bylaws that are already in place that deal with these issues. Okay, and they've been thoroughly studied by this committee and approved by the investment committee and the full foundation board. Right. Our mission here is to serve the entire USF community, and by prudently investing our endowment in a long-term and prudent manner. Okay, we're responsible for asset allocation. We have a strong ranking, as everyone knows, amongst our national peers. And in fact, over the past 10 years, this endowment has contributed over $140 million to the university to support teachers, faculty, research, scholarships, etc. So we've been investing our assets in a very prudent manner. So with that, I'd like to just kind of open up the floor for dialogue. First, around kind of the issue of transparency. These meetings are open and in full accordance with the Florida Sunshine Laws, as we all learned at orientation, right?
Correct.
Correct. And as we can see from the guests that we have here today, we are not. This is as all the meetings that we have are fully compliant with Sunshine Laws. And
we also respond to any open records requests when they're made through the proper channels. We participated in, but we have an annual presentation to the University Board of Trustees Finance and Audit Work Group, where we share information about our performance and how our endowment's invested, and that information is available online. I think that's where some of the continuation issues we've gotten. So there's a lot more we can do.
So it appears that it certainly feels like we're one, following the law, but two, also being very open and responsive to any kind of requests that come in, and as well as sharing and putting our results and financial reports and whatnot online. Right?
Right. And in addition to following the open meetings and public records laws, we also follow the requirements of the university in terms of both, as you said, presentation, but also reporting.
And Chip, as you know, we work with a large number of endowments and foundations, similar size. And I would say that, with respect to transparency, the University of South Florida Foundation is following, not only best practice, I think that you're as transparent as any of the endowments that we work with.
Okay. Good. Good. I think we should also talk about each one of the requests we made and probably refresh everybody's memory on our policies and our processes that we follow. We are, as everybody knows, our task based on the bylaws that have been approved by the foundation and by the university based on that asset allocation. And, Mark, maybe you would be instructed to kind of give a rundown in terms of your recommendations and how the process works, just to refresh everyone's memory.
Over the last 10 years, the ESG principles, environmental, social, and governance principles, have really become ingrained in our manager research process at Wilshire. So it's integral to any manager selection that we make or that we recommend to the investment committee for the foundation. And on top of that, the majority of the managers that we have in place currently in the endowment adhere to the United Nations principles of responsible investment, and we encourage them to do so. So I think that from that perspective, those principles are really ingrained to the manager search process as it exists today.
And we do not just we do periodic and quarterly reviews of manager performance, right?
Correct.
And once the decision's made, that's not the end of it, right? You guys continue to monitor managers and continue to make recommendations, right?
We monitor each manager in your portfolio. We conduct a due diligence on every 6 months, update our scoring and our evaluation of that firm. We will be on site with that firm at least once a year, and a lot of times the ESG principles are addressed at length in those meetings, and it is an important part of our manager research and due diligence process, and it is ongoing. As Chip mentioned, this is something that we do continuously with all the firms that we utilize for our clients.
And in the manager evaluations, first of all, we don't hold any individual securities, correct?
No, we do not.
We don't make those decisions.
Those are not decisions that we make. We don't make individual security selection decisions, right? What our responsibility is to select managers, and then through the advice that we get from Wilshire, is then they're responsible for stock selection or security selection. It's probably better.
That's exactly right. They're the ones selecting the securities. They're the ones doing that. The same type of due diligence we do on money managers, they're doing on the companies in which they invest. And so they're applying those principles to those companies. And we rely, that's what we pay them to do. That's their area of expertise. And you're not alone in that. All the endowments that we work with of your size, the investment committee's role is to set policy, to determine the appropriate asset allocation, and then to select managers to implement that allocation. And since we've been working with the foundation in 2000, I can't recall any situation in which the investment committee got involved in security-specific decisions.
I think, in fact, by the policies that we have, I don't think that falls in our purview.
Right.
Our policies are purely set up for manager selection. Right.
The board hasn't delegated that individual selection policy.
And that's Florida law has a statute, the Florida Uniform Management Institutional Funds Act, and in that they allow for the delegation to investment managers of security collections, and what they require is prudent investment policy. So we're in compliance with Florida law. We're also in compliance with the university's own investment policy, which allows for delegation to that to the managers.
There was one other comment I wanted to make about Florida's Uniform Management of Prudent Institutional Funds.
Isn't there?
F up MIFA.
Florida.
Okay.
Yes. It does prescribe for the committee, and we've talked about this a number of times over the years, but it does prescribe the factors you're to consider in managing your institutional fund. And it enumerates several factors. For example, general economic conditions, expected tax consequences of investment decisions, the role it plays in the overall investment portfolio, the needs of the institution and the fund to preserve capital and to make distributions, and probably 5 or 6 other factors. But those are the things that guide you in, and you would be judged on in how you make prudent investments. So your fiduciary obligation is judged against the statutory factors.
Okay, any thoughts from, any thoughts, any questions, any dialogue?
I would just say that the funds that we have are donor funds. We are the fiduciaries of these funds on behalf of the university and in the trust of the donors. They were given to the endowment fund without constraint, without restriction, based on the investment policy that we had. It would not be appropriate, in my opinion, to impose policy changes that would be counter to the policies under which the funds have been given to the university. Based on our policy and how we're supposed to manage the endowment, I don't think divestment is prudent, nor do I think a social policy change is prudent. I would propose a motion.
Certainly, we have a motion.
Well,
Is there, do you want to get something specific?
I'll word the motion.
Okay.
The USF Foundation will not divest investments based on requests from individuals or groups, nor will the investment policy or process be altered. In making this decision, the Foundation affirms that the investment process will not be politicized and will continue to be guided by the Foundation's mission, fiduciary responsibilities, and state or federal law or regulation.
So there's a motion, is there a second? Second. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by voting aye.